Can you hear it?
Yes, we can.
Are you ready? Are you ready? Yeah, yeah, yeah. Are you ready? Are you ready? Because it's Monday. 'Cause it's Monday. And it's Monday, yeah. Come on, let's clap. Come on, let's clap. Yeah. Let's clap. Are you ready? Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, it's Monday. It's Monday. Woo-hoo. Are you ready now? Are we ready? Yeah. Because it's Monday. Yeah. It's Monday.
Welcome, folks. Thanks for attending. My name is Joe Muccioli. I'm the Artistic Director for the Jazz Arts Project, a nonprofit organization which, for almost 15 years, has been presenting and honoring jazz with world-class concerts and high-level education programs. I'm going to introduce our guests in just a minute, but first things first. Thank you to all our donors and supporters and sponsors. Our platinum presenting partner is Ocean First Bank, with support from Monmouth Arts and from you, our supporting members. So a heartfelt thank you, thank you, thank you. Let's talk drums, shall we? As we've seen in our previous episodes, drumming is just about as old as mankind. Paleoanthropologists have revealed that the ancient cousins of Homo sapiens, the Neanderthals in the Crimea, may have had music from drums and bone flutes as long as 100,000 years ago. The only surviving specimens are bone flutes and whistles, although it's thought that drums would have been used as well, but were long decayed due to the eons of passing time. From as early as 6000 BCE, we have dug up the first intact ancient drum from Mesopotamia, a region roughly around the modern-day Iraq. Since we humans seem to need complex communication, whether through speech or pictures or through music, early drummers may have been charged several duties, including relaying information across the wilds from tribe to tribe, or perhaps only for the weekly sock hop. We just aren't sure. We can guess that it would have been the birth of the original musician's story of lore, perhaps. It seems a young prehistoric whippersnapper sitting by the fire asking way too many questions. And the one persistent question he kept asking the village elder was, "What's up with all those drums?" Indeed, there were drums constantly echoing through the village. "Not to worry, young lad," the elder said. "Drums good. Drums good. Drums stop very bad." So this went on day after day. The incessant questions about drumming, and always the same answer. Drums stop very bad. Drums stop very bad. Until one day, the drums suddenly stopped. And the lad came running, screaming, "Drums stop very bad. Drums stop very bad. What does it mean?" The elder said, "Drums stop very bad. Yes, indeed. Drums stop bass solo." And so it goes. Various cultures develop different sounds and rhythmic variations. Drums are used in various settings and soon became useful in military marches to keep the men together and in line and in step. Rented a tent. In his book, The Sirens of Titan, author Kurt Vonnegut writes of a futuristic, dim-witted private named Unk, who, like most of the soldiers in the Martian army, is controlled by a small antenna implanted in his head. This makes the drum beat of a military march infectiously demanding of action. Rented a tent, a tent, a tent, rented a tent, a tent, a tent, rented a tent, rented a tent, rented a tent. Right. Okay, so we come out of the army and hear all these instruments, including these huge marching drums. When people figured out that one person could play both the big bass drum and the snare drum while using a foot pedal to play cymbals at the same time, it brought music indoors and evolved into ragtime, Dixieland, and early jazz. The amalgamation of cultures, this melting pot of sounds and traditions from all over the world, and the beats becoming more and more syncopated, kind of conspired to put together what we now know as the modern drum set. Due to the increasing influence and popularity of African and Caribbean rhythms, early kits would include a variety of woodblocks and tambourines from African traditions, tom-toms based on the cylindrical-shaped tuned drums of China and Japan, the big bass drum, now pared down a bit with a foot pedal added, and finally cymbals, many of them made by a Turkish immigrant named Avidas Zildjian III, who brought with him his family's tradition of cymbal making that dated back to 1623 in Constantinople. So a musician could now sit down and use all available limbs to drive his music to more and more exciting flights of fancy. In the 1930s, drummers became more known and more influential in moving the music forward in innovation and style. People like Chick Webb, Papa Joe Jones, Gene Krupa, and eventually Buddy Rich carved out a more integral place in the ensemble and led the way to a more melodic and interactive manner of playing drums. The drum set itself was early on called traps because it became a mash of all kinds of extra pieces, and it was thought of as a contraption and then shortened to traps. Now sometimes it's called a kit or skins, depending on how hip you are. Of course, the drum set evolved over the years as the music and the technology changed, but some players are content still with a basic 5-piece set of bass drum, tom-tom, floor tom, hi-hat, and cymbals, while others go for a bit more, shall we say, enhanced. Our guest this evening is Cecil Brooks III. Cecil is a dear friend and has appeared on some of our stages over the years, including our Gershwin Gala at the Count Basie Theater. But perhaps most notably, as the fight promoter and referee at the infamous Battle of the Keyboards we staged one summer weekend at Two River Theater. Cecil is someone you could say is a drummer's drummer, a contemporary drummer and an aggressive polyrhythmic stylist. Cecil hails from Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, where his father, jazz drummer Cecil Brooks Jr., guided his music education beginning at the tender age of 5 by introducing him to the music of Art Blakey, Max Roach, and Philly Joe Jones et al. After attending Mount Aloysius College and Duquesne University, Cecil moved to the New York City area to begin a busy career performing with great artists like Houston Pearson and Etta Jones, Nat Adderley, Terence Blanchard, Andrew Hill, the Mingus Dynasty Big Band, David Murray, and so many others. He has appeared on perhaps hundreds of recordings, both as a leader and as a sideman. It has been said of Cecil, he has an amazing and inherent versatility to adapt to all musical styles, and whatever he plays, he uses every piece of drum equipment to set his audience on fire musically, making him one of the hottest drummers today. Cecil was the founder and proprietor of Cecils Jazz Club in West Orange, New Jersey. In this club, he crafted a sense of a jazz community, not only of patrons, but of many area musicians, including top pros, as well as up-and-coming newbies. He mentored many young musicians and gave them opportunities, encouragement, and guidance. In 2005, ABC's Nightline featured his Monday Night Big Band. He has been the subject of many articles and reviews in Jazz Is, Downbeat, Modern Drummer, Jazz Times, and the New York Times. Cecil is a man of many hats. As a drummer, composer, arranger, producer, and educator, Cecil Brooks will continue to be true to the music he loves. He is passionate about jazz and giving his audience an experience that will move them to swing. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Cecil Brooks III.
Welcome, welcome. And Joe and Cecil, please turn off your mute button so that we can hear you.
Oh yeah, I'm muted too.
Yes, you are. Cecil, you're gonna have to turn your mute button off. There you go.
How are you?
Good. Real good.
Good to see you, man.
Yeah,
And
good
good
to see you.
And good to hear you through all this technological issues we always have.
I know, this is crazy. Good.
Yeah.
Very good.
So, man, you've been through a lot. You've been doing a lot, and you're out there on the West Coast. This is coming from California, folks.
Yes, Santa Monica. This is crazy.
Santa Monica, love it.
Yeah, not too long ago, I was right down on the East Coast on that side of the world with you.
I hear you. I hear you. What are you doing out there, by the way?
Well, I mean, right, I kind of came at a bad time, the pandemic and everything, and
Yeah.
so it's been a little bit of a crawl trying to get around and meet folks because no place is open to play.
Right.
But the few times I've played with some great musicians. John Pisano, the guitar night here, and every Tuesday, which they hire me quite a bit. Got a chance to play with a lot of those guys, really great players. And just still making my way.
When you just landed there, like what, a year ago or so?
It's been a couple of years now, but years moving into all this uncertainty.
I know. Yeah. Sure. So are you you thinking about opening a club out there?
I thought about it many times because it seems like there's definitely a real need for it. For what we had, a place where musicians, in particular traditional jazz musicians, can play every week.
Yeah. Well, you had Cecil's jazz. For those of you who don't know, there was a jazz club that Cecil founded and ran for I don't know how many years.
10 years, a decade.
A decade.
Yeah.
And it was a very important venue because it gathered pros, legends, and students, from all over.
Yeah, you got everyone from Emmett Cohen to Tyson Surrey to Tia Fuller. They all came out of that club, as a product of playing there every week.
Oh yeah, and I'm sure they're grateful for that because I know that you mentored many of them and gave them opportunity.
Yeah, they're all great players.
I saw a few of them. I saw in the air earlier. I don't know if they're still here, but we have some of them. Hey, Freddie Hendricks is here. I saw him sneaking in.
Oh yeah.
Hey, Freddie, you want to unmute and say hello? He's in the bathroom, really.
Hey fellas, what's up?
There he is.
How y'all doing?
What's up?
I'm hiding. How you doing, man? I'm just listening.
Okay, I hear you.
That's my big brother. When he talks, I listen.
There you go.
He's like master teacher.
Well, we miss you too, Freddie.
Yeah, Freddie's
Miss you guys too, man.
he's one of those great players that was there.
Yep, absolutely. I thought I saw Anthony here before also, Anthony Nelson Jr.
Anthony's another one.
I saw him in here somewhere. Maybe he got knocked off somehow. But we had him on one of these Zoom sessions also.
Yeah.
So tell me about your father. That was interesting to learn.
He's a product of the 40s. He came along when bebop was being created, and he's kind of accredited with being one of those original bebop players. He's on he's on the Savoy album called The Bebop Boys.
Wow.
Yeah, with Eddie Jefferson and matter of fact, all the drummers are from Pittsburgh. Joe Harris, Art Blakey, and Steve Clark are the drummers on this Savoy record called The Bebop Boys, and they're all from all Pittsburgh drummers. So he's a product of that era and living in Pittsburgh, and but he never left Pittsburgh. So, but a lot of guys that came through there got to know him, and he got to know them. So that's why when I was young, I was fortunate enough to go out here and be around Max and Art Blakey and Philly Joe Jones because he knew him and they knew him.
That's incredible. That's incredible. Hey, to clear up one of the questions in the list here, the name of his club was Cecil's, of course. Somebody asked, what was the name of the club? It was Cecil's.
Right. I'd like to say hi to Karen Lee. I see her over there.
Karen's here, huh?
Anthony,
Hey, Karen.
Anthony showed up.
Anthony snuck in.
Yeah.
Anthony was here a few weeks back. People may remember that.
Hey, wait a minute. Is that Bruce Reingold from growing up in Pittsburgh as a teenager? What's up, Bruce? Where you at?
Right here, Cece. I'm north of you in San Francisco.
Wow, that's amazing. I haven't seen you in 50 years.
Wow.
Yeah.
You're always great to be with, Cecil. I'm happy to see you too.
Bruce, the trumpet player. We were in high school and everything. He's great. Still playing?
Yeah, still playing.
You know, I was up there in San Francisco playing with Kevin Mahogany at Yoshi's before his last gig before he died. Yeah.
I got to track you. I'll check it out. It's a nice hat, Cecil. You want to tell me about that hat?
Oh well, you know the Steelers. You know that.
How are they doing this year, Cecil?
Incredible. You know I had to wear it. You know, greatest team on earth.
Great to see you.
You too.
I'm curious, Bruce, how did you hear about this all the way up from San Francisco?
My brother somehow found it in New York, sent it to me.
Wow. How about that?
Yeah. I'm happy. Very
Thank
happy.
you. Welcome.
Yeah, me, Bruce, and Dave Budway and Jeff Watts, we all came up together.
Yeah, I tell you, it was
Dang.
Cecil was the coolest cat in town, coolest cat around. He's always had it.
Oh,
Still
man.
is.
I wish.
He still is. Where's Anthony? There's Anthony.
Oh, there's Brian over there. What's up, Brian? Now, Brian has to be one of the number one Cecil's Club members.
I'm an alumni. I'm one of your extinguished alumni.
But you were there all the time. Thanks for
Good to see you.
yeah.
That's right. Brian and Brian has been living down here near us and is we are grateful to Brian because he's a supporter of the Jazz Arts Project.
Yeah,
So I
Brian.
appreciate that, Brian.
Yeah, I believe that. Brian is great.
Last time I saw you was out in L.A.
I was going to say, he came out here.
That was fun.
Yeah, he came to Guitar Night
He's
Yep.
chasing you.
at the Cali. That's right.
Anyway, good to see you.
Yeah, you too. How's John Paul?
He's got 2 kids. Did you know that?
Yeah, I know, but I haven't seen him since then. Yeah.
I haven't talked to him in a while. I gotta get with him. And I'll tell him I zoomed in on you.
Sorry to go off subject.
Yeah.
So I guess there's not a lot of recording projects or anything going on.
Well, no, but there's one that hopefully will be out soon, and that's Anthony E. Nelson's record.
You know, where's Anthony? Turn your mic on, Anthony. Say hello.
Hey, what's happening?
There you go.
Cease.
Yeah, he got a nice swinging project.
Oh, you produced it, so it had to be.
And yeah. So we got energy into that, and I'm looking to do one too, and it's coming up soon. We just got to get over this pandemic.
Yeah, it's going to be the summertime probably before that
Yeah,
shows any kind of light.
I hope if the Spanish flu taught us anything is right after that it was like the boom, like the Roaring '20s. So hopefully after this will be a big boom in the United States. Everyone will like music again.
There you go. Talk about positive thinking. That's great.
I hope so.
Right. Why look back? Let's look forward to the boom.
Exactly.
I'm hip.
Think of
Hey,
all
why
the
don't we?
song- Think of all the songs you can write about the pandemic.
It's going to be done a lot, I'm sure. Yeah.
So, Cecil,
Yes.
so you are your father was a jazz drummer as well, correct?
Yeah, is. Yes.
He is. So can you tell us about that relationship and what was it like in terms of following in his footsteps? Were you inspired by him? Did you was that just kind of natural? And then in terms of, do you have children as well? And are they in the music industry?
Well, first, he played drums. So actually, as a little kid, just naturally gravitated towards him because he played, and it wasn't anything he forced me to do or even wanted me to do. It was just something I just gravitated towards and just did. And as far as my kids, no, my youngest, I only have one kid, Cecil Brooks III. I mean the fourth. I'm sorry.
The fourth. And you have a fifth also, you told me.
A little fifth, yeah.
Oh, really?
Yeah. But the fourth took saxophone lessons. He took them with Karen Lee, who's over here right now. He took lessons from her for years because we lived in Montclair, New Jersey for a lot of years. And Karen used to teach him saxophone, and he played a little while, but then eventually he got into electronic music.
And does he make his living as a musician?
Well, no, he works for Yamaha, and he works for them, but he doesn't make his living as a musician. But he's done some tracks. He did a couple of tracks for, if you know Britney Spears' husband, Kevin Federline, some kind of off halfway famous people. He's done tracks for, so he still dibbles and dabs in it.
Nice. Okay.
The little guy, the fifth, is 7, so the verdict's still out on him.
Cecil, can I jump in here?
Sure.
Right ahead.
Wasn't Ace Boy, as we called him, you wrote a song for him, I remember.
Yeah.
Didn't you write a tune called Ace Boy?
Yeah, right.
Wasn't he in a television show for a little bit?
Oh yeah, when he first came to LA, yeah, he got into the acting thing because his aunt is an actress, and she's currently in an AARP commercial. It's running right now.
I gotta check that out. I'm in that category now.
He did some sitcoms and some things like that, but he didn't really stick with it.
We have a video clip of you and your father playing in your club.
Cool.
So I why don't we take a look at that? Melissa, I think I started it halfway through there.
Great.
There he is. go.
Cecil Brooks II. My father. Cal Fuller. Last Kirkhoff. Cecil Brooks III. Thank you, and good night. Thank you all for being.
You're on mute, Joe. Excellent clip.
That's from us. There you go. Nice, man. You're tearing up some mallets there.
That was a fun night.
Yeah. That's fantastic. How long ago was that? When was that?
2007.
2007, right? Okay.
There you go. You were rocking some sideburns there.
Oh yeah, that was the Jackie Wilson, Elvis Presley look.
Yep. Yep. Right, I saw somebody came back in. Hey, who was that? Oh, Rodham. Hey, Rodham. Come on, unmute yourself. Say hello. Maybe you can't hear me. Say
Was that
hello,
a
Rodham.
special?
There you go.
Hey. Hey, Cecil Brooks III.
Hey, what's up, Randall?
Hey, man. So you went from looking like Elvis Presley to Salvador Dali.
I'm a surrealist.
Always have been.
What's up, man? How you been?
I'm okay. Hanging in there.
That's good
Yeah.
for a change.
Okay, let's get started. You know, I was in Cecil's band for 10 years.
Yes, we've been around him, go way back.
One thing about after a gig with Cecil, he wouldn't pay you right away.
Oh,
He insisted on hanging out for 2 hours.
wrong.
It was band bonding time. Band bonding. We had to talk for 2 hours before we went big.
It's the after gig hang.
Yeah, after gig hang.
That's so
Randall,
you can buy him drinks, you know.
Randall, we go back to the beginning of the recording stages, all the way back
Mm-hmm.
to the early '90s.
Yep. That's for
So-
sure.
With your father, do you play with him often? And is your father still playing? Where is he? And
My father lives in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, and he's 92. And yes, he plays whenever he can. Of course, now with things where they are, not getting out too much. And with his age, he doesn't like to go out and just play any gig, But he's still playing, and he's in great health and enjoying life.
There's a toast to him.
Yeah.
so we have a question from William May, and is that Bill May, the jazz photographer? Can you unmute yourself, if that's you?
C'est moi. That's me.
How you doing, Bill?
I'm having a ball.
Good to see you. And just my first question to you is: do you have any pictures of Cecil in part of your big jazz collection?
To howdy, I mean, I was able to photograph a whole bunch of musicians at Cecil. When he was in West Orange. I don't know if he remembers that.
Yeah, I do. At one point, I want to get together and see some of them.
There's a book there somewhere.
Yeah, as a matter of fact, Cecil gave us the club one night. When I say gave us, meaning the Newark Public Schools, we had a fundraiser for one of the music teachers whose brother was caught in the storm down there in New Orleans, and Cecil let us have the club as a fundraiser. We had our own band. We played and had a little money.
Oh yeah, I remember that. Yeah, that was nice.
Yeah. So great to see you.
Yeah, but I remember your paintings. I mean, your pictures are iconic, man.
Well, thank you very much. All I do is just capture. I try to capture who's there.
Yeah, well, Greg. I mean, 'cause you those pictures. I mean, you capture the era. I mean, that's.
Yeah, you're right about that. I mean, I have Freddie, of course, Rodham. I photographed Rodham, and Rodham had the misfortune a couple of times of playing piano while I was trying to play bass. So I owe him something for tolerance. So anyway, I think Carmen had a question for you.
Sure.
Well, your question, Bill, was what was your motivation for opening a jazz club, and why did you choose West Orange? That's Bill's question.
Well, my motivation for opening a jazz club was always from being fortunate to play in many different bands all around the world. I noticed we would play our hearts out, and you do the gig, and then after the gig, you know, you're done. Go back to your hotel room, and then that's it. And then basically, and there was nothing more you could do with the experience but have your 2 or 3 nights. But meanwhile, the club, you know, captured everything from the night, all the revenue, you know, anything that was to be, you know, collected was basically the club. So I always felt a sense of emptiness, and I said, well, it'd be nice to have a club, and then at the end of the night, you know, you capture everything and have and be able to control the currency for tomorrow. The club, and so one night, one afternoon, my son was going to William Patterson. Anyway, he was out the house, and sort of an empty nest syndrome going on in Montclair. Me and my wife in this big house, and kids gone. And I seen in the paper, you know, restaurant for sale. And I thought about it like this would be like creating another baby, because it was empty nest syndrome, and now it's just me and her. And my aspirations was to get out and play more, and that would mean leaving the house and being gone more. So what was she going to do? But in her past, her mother, who's from the Philippines, came to this country sort of like an entrepreneur and bought a lot of property and did very well, but owned several clubs and nightclubs. And so she used to work in nightclubs when she was younger. So I thought this would be a great thing to do if I got the club, I could handle the music thing, and she understood all the business about the club. So it just seemed like a good situation to create like another something we could both do. And she was into it and liked it, and it was in West Orange, but it just happened to be in the perfect spot in America to have a jazz club. I mean, you can't pick a better place than West Orange, New Jersey, because right there, well, you can't pick a better place than Essex County, because Essex County houses basically some of the greatest jazz musicians in the world.
That's right.
I mean, up the street from me was Dave Stryker, Vic George, Don Braden, Bob DeVoe. Down the street from me was Christian McBride, Kenny Garrett, Wallace Roney. I mean, anybody you name, people, they either lived in Montclair, West Orange, South Orange, or Newark. And this was, you could fly from here and go to a festival at the North Sea Jazz Festival, and basically everybody here is going to be somebody who lived in Essex County. So it turned out to be the best place, because folks on their way to gigs would stop by my clubs, by the club, and on their way from gigs, they would stop by the club. You know, case in point, John Lee lived in South Orange. So a lot of time after the gig, he would stop by the club and bring James Moody, Jackie McLean. I mean, everybody's been by the club as a result of these individuals. You know. So, and then some of the perks were you had Joe Alfonte, who was doing the big band on Monday night, and a good friend of mine used to work for Dave Marish, used to work for CBS News, sports announcer. He came and was going to buy my house in Montclair, because he was moving to Montclair with his wife Amy, who was a camera woman, and they wanted their daughter to finish high school there. And I told him about opening the club, and so as a result, he didn't buy my house, but he bought another house. But as a result, he became a regular at the club and liked the club so much. That's why he did the special on Nightline with the Joe Alfonte Big Band live at Cecils.
That's all connections.
Yeah, that featured 30 million people, 54 countries that was aired. So, you know, we had a lot of beautiful things happen. Lightning struck twice there. And unfortunately, a good friend of mine, Bill Cosby, did my grand opening, because I was the drummer on the Cosby Show. And he told me, I'm going to come and do your club. And he came and did the grand opening, and he charged me. He said, all I want is 5 bottles of water. He said, because what you're doing is very important to the music. You got to keep this going.
Very nice, very nice.
So there's a lot of things that just kind of fell in place.
On the jazz records, they keep very extensive notes on who plays what and what date it was. Did you guys do that for Cecil's? Do you have a logbook?
No, but I can remember.
You can remember?
That's the beauty of being a musician and own the club. I mean, they're all my friends.
Yeah.
There are people that I played with before the club and played with after the club, so it wasn't a matter of having to remember.
Sounds like there's a collaboration there between the photos and the memories to put a book together like that.
Exactly. Yeah.
Cecil's, I like the nice coffee table book.
Yeah, no, it really would be, because what happened there. I mean, a drummer named Tyshawn Story went on to get the Macarthur Award, the Macarthur Genius Award, and he was a regular there. I've been knowing him ever since he was a kid. Nice. He's a regular at Cecil's,
So are you, Bill? You and Cecil, you guys in communication?
We will be.
I'm game.
I'll help out if you need it.
Yes.
Yeah, we will be.
You mentioned Tyshawn. Tyshawn is the artist in residence at the Philadelphia Opera Company and just premiered a piece this past Friday night in Philadelphia. It was taped prior, but it's an incredible piece. Tyshawn, he is a genius.
Yes.
It wasn't recognized. People thought he was just out.
Well, the thing is,
in the schools, but he was so far ahead.
Well, the thing is that we knew that.
Yeah.
We knew he was a genius. Though, like Anthony, Freddie, myself, people that hung with him and knew him for all them years. That's why he was a regular at Cecil's, because he was part of that Cecil's family. We all knew he was a genius and knew what he. It just took everybody else time to catch up.
Well, and
still haven't caught up.
And since the Coffee Table book is born here on Mondays with Mooche, Jazz Arts Project will always be happy to take a little portion of the proceeds.
Not a problem.
And I'd be glad to help put it together.
Yeah.
Okay.
Oh, Joe can make write some great commentary. I want to ask Karen's question. She says here, can you talk about what it was like playing and recording with Jerry Allen, and a word about Wallace Roney?
Well, I met Jerry Allen when I was in high school. I was going to Peabody High School in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. She was going to the University of Pennsylvania. She was going to the University of Pittsburgh, Pitt University, and she was studying ethnomusicology. And I met her in high school, and we did gigs and played. And so I was playing with Jerry since high school, and then later on came to New York and linked back up with her again. Jerry was she's one of those true original artists. People you come across, every 10, 20 years, is a true original. They have their own thing. It's unlike playing or performing with anyone. So there was just nothing but, it was just always Jerry. It was just so inspirational. Nothing but a long learning experience. And Wallace Rooney just was a true genius. I mean, what he did on the trumpet, his technical ability, his knowledge of the horn, it was next to none. That's why Miles loved him, I hope that answered the question, but.
Yes, it did. Thank you very much.
You did, Cecil. I just wanted to remind everybody about Wallace. He was one of the tragedies of this terrible COVID-19. So I just wanted everyone to keep him in your prayers and his memory alive. And all those records you did with Cindy Blackman, and just amazing. Thank you.
Yes.
I worked on that Miles at Montreux recording with Quincy.
You did?
And and they weren't really sure that Miles was going to show up, and that's why they asked Wallace to come, essentially be a stand-in for him, and to say that if Miles doesn't show, it was going to be Wallace playing the parts. right? Because we were essentially reconstructing all the Gil Evans arrangements.
Nice.
So, and Miles wasn't really sure he wanted to, look backwards like that.
Right.
At the last minute, he did show up, and Wallace was essentially going to walk off stage and leave it to Miles, and Miles grabbed him and said, "No, you play too." So that they actually shared a couple of things back and forth on that recording.
And I know that was his highlight.
Because exactly. Because Miles wanted him to stay. Miles, it's like, no, man, you deserve this. You need to be here.
Nice. That was great. Now Wallace, he was a great supporter of the club. He he insisted on performing there. He performed one New Year's Eve at the club, and where he invited Kenny Garrett. And Kenny Garrett just came and played with him one New Year's Eve at Cecil's, just because he lived around the corner.
Yeah, that's great.
He wanted to support me, so they were great.
Do we have any other questions? Go ahead.
If you don't mind me saying this, the one thing I haven't heard, I keep on getting knocked off because of kids and stuff over here. But the one thing that I have to personally say a thank you for is that's where we, guys like myself, Freddie, like you mentioned, Tyshawn, that's where we really got a chance to work our stuff out. That was the spot where Cecil's was valuable, and there's been nothing to replace it, and nor could there be. At any given night, just because they were his friends, I would be running the jam session, subbing for Bruce Williams that ran the session, and all of a sudden Roy Hargrove would walk in, Russell Malone, all of Cecil's friends, colleagues, and peers would just walk up in the place and, and share. If it wasn't for Cecil's, you wouldn't have Emmett Cohen. Because that's where and he'll tell you that to this day. There's a lot of the younger guys, Tia Fuller, myself, Freddie, who was on here earlier, Tyshawn cut his teeth there. That place was one of the most valuable institutions ever, especially in New Jersey. And it brought us back to what we had with the Peppermint Lounge, which is where I originally met Cecil. So I just couldn't let that go without being mentioned. My personal gratitude, because without Cecil's, I wouldn't have near the career that I've been blessed to have. That's all I wanted to say.
And don't forget to mention Brother Bruce Williams. He was up in the mix very heavily.
Definitely, because, man, he's the one that, Bruce, Cecil, they were always helping us along.
Brandon McHugh.
Yeah, Steve Teray.
Yeah, it was a wealth of, it was too many people to mention. It was the hang. And I'm gonna go on record and say
Mike
it was
Lee
a grown.
too.
Yeah, Mike Lee was there. It was a grown man's hang. It's what this music used to be. It was some of the elders helping out, not considering it robbery to work with those younger guys, get us on the bandstand. Christian McBride used to be there all the time. Leo Johnson, all the North tenor players. Remember that night, Cecil, because I was working there, I don't know if you guys know this cat, Billy Phipps. Billy Phipps came through just to support, because he drove all the way back from Atlantic City and came in. That's what the scene. Remember that, Cecil?
Yeah, I do.
Yeah, and so that's what Cecil created. He created a nouveau, old school. He created the real neo soul. That's what the scene. That's what he did. He kept. I'm sorry, I'm going on too long, but he created a place for us to really work it out the way that it was, not just in school, Remember Brad Williams came through. He's like the only cat that would come through there, you know, from that school. So, man, personally, Cecil, thank you.
I remember that cat.
You remember what?
That cat. That Jersey cat.
That Jersey cat, Freddie Hendrix, baby.
Yeah.
And you know, Don Braden, who was again one of our Zoom guests several weeks back, was also part of that scene. And we have a little clip we could play of you and Don in a trio.
Cool.
On Soma TV, whatever that is.
Okay.
You have that, Melissa?
Yes.
love something good.
Thunderous applause.
Hey, Joe Mooche, I know you're going to run out of time soon, and I just want to jump in here with one quick comment. Is that okay?
Sure, no worries.
As I've been working on for many years, and I'm hoping to finish over this weekend, a thesis for Rutgers Jazz History and Research program to finally get my master's degree. And my topic was Jazz at the Jersey Shore, Past, Present, and Future. The Jazz Arts Project is basically almost all of Chapter 5, because what you're doing is the future of jazz. And I want to thank you for all the benefit I've received from that program, as well as my students. I noticed in one of the photos leading up to Cecil, there was a picture of Cecil with my drum student, Toomey Hall. I created a YouTube channel, and I posted one of Cecil's solos from your Two River Cafe summer series.
Oh, wow.
And there, Tia Fuller's on there. The page is actually called Jazz at the Jersey Shore. And there's some videos on there with Danny Walsh and Tia and Cecil's drum solo.
If you have a link, you could post it in the chat room right here.
I guess I would have to go on YouTube and get the link. I think I can do that. But I created
You could post it right in here in the chat room.
All right, I'll
nice.
see if I can get it before the meeting ends. But there is some video on there on my YouTube channel, which is strictly just to document jazz down in the Monmouth County Red Bank area.
Well, that's fantastic.
Thank you for there's quite a bit about you in my paper about what you've done. And
all lies.
No, I have all the
Don't believe
articles.
it.
I've saved all the programs and articles from all those stuff you've done over the years. And that's all going to be documented in Rutgers. So thank you for what you've done, Joe.
Thank you. I'd love to see that.
Do you call that Jazz at the Jersey Shore? Is that what you called it? Videos?
Yeah.
Okay.
The page is called Jazz at the Jersey Shore. Other stuff does come up. Mine will have a picture of me holding my saxophone as the owner of the page.
And what's the clip you said? What's the name of the clip?
Cecil Brooks. I've been doing this double tabs.
Carmen will find it.
Yeah, you can find it. And there's others. I'm going to be putting more stuff on there because I used to come to a lot of Joe's events and film on my phone. So I've got a ton of stuff in my phone that's going to make it onto that page. And the link is in my paper. So even years from now, if somebody accesses my paper, it's not going to be restricted to the videos that I put in at the time of publication. They'll be able to see additional stuff that was added after the fact.
You should look through our Jazz Arts Project YouTube page also. We have one. And there's a bunch of clips posted there as well.
Okay, great. I can put links to those in my paper as well. Thank you so much for letting me say that. Thank you.
Well, thank you. I appreciate that.
And I'm going to use it as a perfect segue to say that thank you, Karen. I definitely want to see those links and to say that we're all family here, family and friends. Jazz is very much a small knit community. And as you can see, we are making a difference. And Karen just acknowledged that Joe has a whole chapter basically with Jazz Arts Project. And so the history that
fake news
Jazz Arts has been making in the Red Bank area, the Monmouth County area, and basically across the nation, really. Jazz is definitely happening. And thanks to Joe and thanks to Jazz Arts Project and thanks to all of you that have supported us. So if you want to continue supporting us, please keep watching the show. And also, please, you can make a contribution to us at www.jazzartsproject.org/donate. You can make a contribution there. So we would appreciate your support. And we're going to continue our show. And Mondays with Mooche, we're at show number 28. But I think this is going to be ongoing, Joe. I think this is a new creation that will continue, and you'll be doing this along with Summer Jazz Cafe when it returns, along with Jazz in the Park. and along with other many live performances.
And
So,
we will surely have Cecil and all these folks back on our stages once again someday.
Yes,
Certainly.
absolutely.
definitely.
Cecil, is there I know there's a bunch of CDs that you have. Is there a link that if people want to buy CDs they can go to?
Yeah, they can go to jazzdepot.com. Go to
Carly,
jazz.
can you put that up there? jazzdepot.com, and I suppose just search Cecil Brooks, right?
Yeah, my name will come up, and then the discography. I think I have about 7 records.
Yeah. Now you've been as a sideman, you've been on hundreds of them,
Yes.
no doubt.
He's over 200.
Yeah,
Those were the days.
those were the days. Right, the different era
A whole different.
of recording.
Yeah, most
Have
people.
you gotten to any of the studios out West Coast yet?
No, there isn't any. There's that kind of scene died a long time ago. But what it is everyone uses electronic music and.
Right. Yeah.
And they use the orchestra for the movie scores.
Yeah. There are a couple of clubs out there. I mean, Yoshi's and I was thinking the one in
Jazz Bakery, that's here in Santa Monica, but they're not open though.
Oh,
There's Blue
good
Whale
point.
and Sam First, and there's the Mint a few days a week, and
Yeah, they've been closed. First,
yeah, everything's closed now.
they've been closed since March.
Yeah. Well, probably springtime, summertime, they'll start opening up.
Yeah, I hope so. Yeah, we
There's
need.
there's Andy Farber showing his face. Hey, Andy, another one of our team and crew and guests,
Locked in my room like everyone else.
like all of us. Yeah.
How you doing, Andy?
I'm well, CB3. What's that?
Oh.
What cocktail do you have tonight, Andy? What do you got going on?
It's empty, and it was some cognac.
How much have you had so far?
One too many.
Not enough. Mine's it's a Jack Daniel's honey night for me.
Right. No drinking mimosas.
There you go. As usual, we'll clean up with a couple of final questions and stuff here, but as usual, we'll end the proceedings at some point here, and then we'll have our usual after gig hang. If anybody wants to hang out and just chat a little bit, that's cool. But if there are any other questions, just go ahead and come on and shout it out or put it in the chat place. One of the things that I keep saying is, since we're all alone in our rooms here, we're going to be learning new stuff. I'm learning new stuff all the time about putting these streaming events on and everything. And what I've learned is no matter how much you learn, stuff still goes wrong. It still screws up somehow. Technology. It just keeps going back to, it's better to be sitting in a live performance or, face to face in a live venue. It's just nothing beats that. But
this is great too, though. This is really wonderful what you've done here. This is nice.
Well, we try to bridge that gap, right? We're so far separated. Everybody's in our own room, and at least we can come together like this once a week and chat amongst ourselves or with our guests.
I get in trouble for saying this, but I kind of think this and these sort of formats are going to help escalate the music.
I think you may be right.
Someone said, well, why do you say that? It's virtual. I said, no, because, in one sitting, I'm in everyone's house, and and you can educate folks on who you are, and then maybe when you come to that town, you come out and see you, as opposed to you got to come out and see you first to be educated on who you are.
Right.
I kind of think the more these formats pop up, I think it's going to be better for the music.
I think you're right. So I'm all for continuing them as much as I can. Before we go any further, I could just say that next week our guest will be Marvin Stam, the great jazz trumpet player. Marvin Stam. And if you don't know who he is, come check it out. He's a great player. He was in the Thad Jones Mel Lewis band for years and years and years. And, all around the world. So we're still planning something for, save the date for December 21st. We're still working out some issues there, and we're planning a kind of a live music event that will be streamed, although no audience. But we're working it out. So keep it together and stay in touch. We'll have more to announce at that point around that kind of thing. Let's see. What else? Anybody else? Questions, comments, complaints?
Well, I'll just say we'll thank our board members for being here. We have Stephen Hecht here, and I saw Ellie here earlier. So I just want to thank our board members for joining us tonight.
Indeed. And special thanks to Ocean First Bank. They've been very generous to us, and they're the reason we're able to continue these programs like that. So I'm going to officially end the proceedings and then just hang in for the basic hang, as they say. So let's do this. Bye-bye.
Thank you, Cecil. Thank you, Cecil.